This is Do It for a Living, your source for inside information on the future of automotive performance.
And I've figured out in the last probably 10 years or so is I've got to know when to say no, and you got to be okay with that to walk away from things and concentrate on things that you're good at.
What's holding you back from starting or growing your business into what it can be? Well, if you're listening to this, it's not a lack of information. What you're about to hear is all you need to get motivated and start making waves. Do It for a Living podcast details the journey of today's true players in their own words. Find out how they broke out so you can too. The time is now. The time is always now.
Welcome back to another episode of Do It for a Living. I'm Todd Ersley with my Shop Assist, and today I've got Dave Shart, and he is the president of Forgeline Wheels. Him and his brother own the company, and so if you probably have heard of Forgeline, they're a very high-end, very innovative company within the wheel market, and they have created some super cool products over the years. And I'm been really interested in talking with them about their manufacturing process, how the business works, and then what they're looking for in the future. So, David, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
Thanks again for coming on the podcast with us. So, one of the things we like to do is kind of hear the personal background of yourself. Can you tell us where you grew up and if you were involved with cars at all as a kid?
I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, where we're located now. So I've been here my entire life, all 52 years. Been in Dayton, Ohio. As a kid, I did a lot of water skiing, snow skiing, camping, that type of stuff. My dad was racing, and so we were at the racetrack with him quite a bit. And when we were 16, we started to do some racing, actually some driver school stuff in like Porsche Club.
Uh-huh.
And then at 18, I got my SCCA license and started doing some IT racing.
Very cool. Yeah. So again, with most of the people on the podcast, outdoor sports and then some sort of family background with the racing side.
Right. I'm sure it is.
So did you go to college in Ohio?
I went to college in Ohio. I went to started at Miami University, and then I finished off at Wright State University.
And what was your major there? What were you studying for?
I was studying accounting for most of that time. Then I took an entrepreneurial class and decided that I wanted to someday eventually run my own business after that class. And then so I changed to human resources management with a minor in psychology.
Oh, okay. So you've got some human stuff and you've got some accounting stuff. And so
yep.
Then when you graduated, did you get like a real job?
I got a job managing a tire store, a place called Tire Discounters. It's a very large tire store. They only had like 8 stores back then, but they sold a lot of wheels. They had a large wheel program, so immediately fit in there well.
And then from there, what was your next step professionally?
Professionally, I was there for about two and a half years. They were in Cincinnati. I was tired of driving to Cincinnati, and they were talking about putting a store in Dayton. And so we asked if we could franchise that store and maybe own that store and help start getting things going in Dayton. And they agreed to do that and then pulled out at the last minute.
Oh, geez.
And so, because they wanted total control of the stores, and I understand now, looking back at that, I totally understand why they wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. And at Wright State, in that entrepreneurship class, I had written a business plan for a wheel distributorship. I don't know if you know or not, my dad owned Dayton Wire Wheel from 1970 to 2000.
Oh, okay. So you have some family experience with
We grew up, all through middle school and high school, we had summer jobs, 40-hour-a-week summer jobs, working at the wheel plant, doing just about every job down there.
Okay, gotcha.
So I've been in the wheel industry for forever. And when I worked at Tire Discounters, I made this business plan to distribute, to be a wire wheel distributor, because obviously my dad owned Dayton Wire Wheel, mm-hmm. So the business plan was to be a wheel distributor down in Atlanta, Georgia. Got an A on it, by the way.
Good job.
And at Tire Discounters, I realized that every wheel that we were getting, if it wasn't an American racing wheel that was from a local warehouse, was coming from California. everything came from California, and there weren't a lot of choices. It was very difficult to get anything other than American Racing from the local American Racing warehouse. So when the whole tire discounters thing fell through, my dad and we went out to the SEMA show, and I wanted to execute my business plan as a wheel distributorship. So we went out and talked to DP Motorsport, BBS, Momo, Speedline, and everybody we talked to, every single person we talked to was super excited about potentially having a wheel distributor in the Midwest somewhere.
So they didn't have a place on the eastern side of the country, like east of Mississippi?
Right. Nobody really did at that point. So we took on 5 lines. A lot of them actually consigned inventory to us, and that business took off very, very quickly.
And so what time frame was this?
That would have been, 92?
That's really not. I'm just kind of surprised that they weren't doing any distributing before that.
Yeah, the wheel stuff was just starting to really take off then. And so we got in at a really, really good point and distributed that product. We had warehouses in Atlanta, Orlando, Chicago, and Dayton within 2 years. So it was a very successful business for a long time.
And so with the business plan, that was specifically for wheel distribution on the East. So did you like use that business plan, and did you execute it?
Executed it, but instead of going to Atlanta, we stayed in Dayton because that's where my support people were, and so we started in Dayton instead of Atlanta. But other than that, I executed the business plan.
Yeah, I have a special place in my heart for that, because that's what I did, a business plan for the My Shop Assist software, and was very successful with feedback with that, and then we're still running with that company. So we didn't even get close to meeting the expectations of the business plan, but it was a good exercise in figuring out what we didn't want to do and make sure everything's right. So that's pretty cool that that's something that you did in college and then actually used it afterwards.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the family was pretty keen on having entrepreneurs. Was that something that was supported within the family?
Very much so. My dad was an entrepreneur for sure. I mean, when he took over that business, he actually took over it. It was bankrupt, so he took over all the debt, and I think they had 5 employees, and we were making 10, 12 wheels a week. And when he sold it, they had 120 employees, and they were making 1,200 wheels a week, I think. So
he really took that business and ran with it.
Yeah, he did well. Yes.
So with your brother, is he younger or older?
We're twins. We don't look. I know we don't look anything alike.
So you're exactly the same age. Was he involved? Pretty early on with the wheel distribution?
No, he wasn't involved with the wheel distribution at all. He's a salesman, and he's a sales manager here. He's a fantastic salesman. And he sold hydraulic cylinders and that type of stuff for manufacturing plants. But we had noticed in the distribution business that there wasn't much custom stuff out there. There were a lot of people wanting to go racing that wanted a custom wheel, and you could kind of call BBS Motorsport back then, but not really unless you're a professional racing team. And HRE was in California, so they were just getting started. And so so then my brother and my dad came up with this 2-piece welded wheel thing. So we bought we machine all of our wheels now out of billet, basically out of forged billet. But back then we actually had to design net forged. So it started out as 2 designs, a 5-spoke and a mesh wheel. And we bought the forgings already forged to shape, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And all we did was drill lug holes and bore and do the center bore and then weld them in place in the custom offset, and which people still do. Billet Specialties and a lot of that type of stuff is still built that way. And that's how they started the business. And we immediately had half the World Challenge field and all that type of stuff. So it was mainly a racing wheel business for just custom wheels.
Okay. And so what year was that? Do you remember?
That was 93.
Okay, so like very soon after getting the distribution stuff going.
Right.
Kind of along the same time.
Right. And it took a little while to get it going. But Steve realized right away that running a business was not his thing. He wouldn't.
Yeah. It's not. It's definitely not for everybody.
No, he did not enjoy it. He enjoyed the sales part of it, but didn't. So he brought me in as a partner at that point, and we worked together for I think 2 years. And we were considerably younger at that point, and a lot more competitive against each other, and didn't get along like we do now. And so at one point, I was probably 96 or so. I said, you either take this back over, or you give me that part of the
change.
Yeah, something's got to change. So he walked away from it and went and did his sales thing. Was sales manager for several different companies. Did very, very well in the sales part. In 2007, 2008, this business started to really, really grow, and I needed somebody in the sales part of it that was into it as much as I was. And we had gotten a lot older and gotten along better, and so we got together and decided.
That's good.
Yep, and he, I was worried that he was going to want to have some control of the business, and so when we sat down, I was saying I'd like to have you back, but I'd like you only to be interested in the sales position, the sales part of the business, nothing else. And before I could even say that, he said, well, I'm very interested in doing this, but all I want to do is sales. I don't want to do anything else.
That worked out well.
So, yeah, it did.
So was it called Forgeline Wheels back then?
It was, yep.
So you stuck with that name. That's pretty impressive.
Forgeline Motorsports, yep.
And so, it sounds like there were several business things going at the same time. Do you still have the distribution facility?
No, I do not.
Okay.
That went away in 2007.
Okay, so did you just sell that business off to another investment team or business entity?
The whole wheel market changed. I would say early 2000s, 2002, 2003 is when China came in. All of a sudden, with the wheels that we were selling for a 20-inch wheel, we would wholesale for $350, $400 a wheel, was now selling from Wheel Pros or another distributor at $150.
Okay.
And we just, with the brands that we had and the inventory we had, we just couldn't keep up. So that one of your questions that you talk about is what's one of the hardest thing? What is one of the worst experiences I've had in business? And that was shutting that business down. That was not a good experience.
Yeah. So do you mind kind of walking us through that? Like you get a competitor in there that's significantly undercutting your prices and therefore your margins. So was it, something that just slowly transitioned, or did it appear out of nowhere and you were caught off guard?
Yeah, we were caught off guard, and not only were they selling things, half of what we were selling them at, they also had deep pockets and were consigning product. So they'd go into all of our customers and say, hey, I'll consign you 20 sets of wheels on your floor, and you pay me whenever you sell them. And in order to keep their business, we had to do the same thing. And we just could not. We did not have the financing for that and cash flow for that. And it was but I kept, you always think you could save it. It was such a great business for so long. It's like, we'll build a website, we'll do this, we'll get more funding, and we continued to kind of beat a dead horse for too many years. If I look back at it, I wish I would have closed it much sooner than I did. Yes.
Oh man, yeah, that's got to be a struggle, like to close a business. That's not really something that we've focused on very much in the past, and we don't have to dwell on it in this podcast, but. That's got to be something hard. When do you throw in the towel and say, there is no way that...
we had 10, 12 employees that we had to let off, and a lot of those people had been there since day one, and it was very hard.
Ouch. Yeah. So back onto the wheel side of it. So, early 2000, mid 2000s, it sounds like the wheel business starts to take off, and and
what was, shutting down that business was one of the best things I ever did, because as soon as I started to focus on Forgeline, that's all I had to do was focus on Forgeline. Mm-hmm. Forgeline just took off.
You were making wheels and you had a wheel distribution business, but then you didn't have the wheel distribution business. So how were you selling your wheels post shutdown?
Through directly to race teams and through places like Turner Motorsport and LG Motorsports and that type of stuff. Same way we're doing it now. Okay,
so you had shops buying your wheels and then selling them to their customers.
Correct.
Okay, and then with the dawn of the internet, you had the customers going on your sellers' websites and buying them.
Right.
And then, so do you have like a buy-in, or is it something that does the company have to buy a whole bunch of your wheels and then keep them in their store, or is it something where, like, if you know the people, then
yeah, well, our wheels are different. They're not wheels in a box. I mean, every set of wheels we make is custom made specifically for. So we tried that. We tried to force people to buy 12 sets of wheels or 10 sets of wheels, and since they're so custom made, they never order the right stuff. They order silver wheels and they want black, or they want red, or they want a different size or a different offset. So it was really difficult to get people to want to do that, and a lot of people got stuck with inventory because one of the reasons people like our stuff is because they can get it exactly the way they want it. So we ended that, and we have what we call a display program. One, you have to have a shop. You can't be just some person selling. The only thing that you do is sell on the internet, unless you're very specialized in that manner. And we have some just internet customers, but they're very specialized. That's all they do is sell wheels, and they're very, very good at it. And we don't like discounters as well. Somebody that's going to try and sell. The only thing they have to offer is price. That's not our type of customer.
So you guys do you have a very strict like a pricing policy?
Very much so. Yeah, they can't advertise for less than 10% off lists.
Okay. And yeah, so with the custom wheel offsets, it sounds like that was what the focus of the business from the very beginning was to offer custom offsets. So do you find that makes things a little difficult for people that are just like, what wheel do I need to buy for this car? Versus, when it's like, oh, I need offsets and sizes and pick all this stuff, versus just going on and saying, hey, I've got this car. This is what I want.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our customers like that. They know their cars and they like doing their research and they like getting whatever they want. But on most cars, especially any modern day car, we know fit. We have recommended fitments. If you don't know what your fitment is, or do you want a street fitment or do you want a race fitment? How much camber we know all that. We can work with the customer and help them through that.
So you guys have a pretty extensive R&D program, or for like checking out what wheels will fit which cars?
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing test fits here all the time. We're working with our specialty tuners like Turner Motorsports and those type of people, working with them on fitments and that type of stuff. We have a lot of data that we can acquire on brake packages and stuff like that we can try our stuff, with SolidWorks. We can take SolidWorks drawing of a brake package and then SolidWorks drawing of our wheel and place them together to make sure the brake's clear. So
do you guys have an engineer? I mean, you have one for designing the wheels, but do you have somebody scanning in drawing the calipers and the wheel wells, or are you using something like, I've seen some data from SEMA that they're providing services.
Right,
and some of that information.
We do both, but we try to buy as much of that stuff as we can or acquire it some other way.
And then you can design your wheels around it, and it's going to fit.
Correct.
Yeah, because that's something that I've heard, your customers that buy your wheels or the shops that, purchase the wheels from you guys, that's been the thing, is you guys can get exactly what the customer needs, which is pretty fantastic. I've done that with one different company of wheels and turned out excellent, but it is a lot of work to get that information. So have you ever had an instance, the wheels are, your wheels are very premium priced, but have you ever had an instance where somebody orders a wheel and then it doesn't fit, like because of their own mistake?
Sure. No, absolutely. That happens. It doesn't happen all the time, but it definitely happens. And we pride ourselves as being one of those companies that work very well in that situation. Obviously, we're not going to take back 100% set of wheels that we used their data, their all that type of stuff, but we're very lenient, and I think we help out as much as possible to try to get the customer what they really need.
So with the custom manufacturing, what is the turnaround time? I would assume that's the biggest hurdle is getting, if every single set of wheel that comes through your facility, it has to be a little different. What kind of turnaround times are you doing, and then what are you guys doing to decrease that number?
Right now, we're running about 4 to 5 weeks, and we're constantly adding machines and trying to stretch the day out. Because, and especially this time of year, that lead time will probably very soon get up to around 6 or 7 weeks, because we're extremely busy. Backlog, right? Just from the backlog, correct.
And so, are you guys doing? Is there anything that you guys outsource, or is it all done in house? Like, I'm thinking of the you're getting the material, but then the powder coating or the finishing or any of the assembly?
We're doing all the powder coating. We're doing all the, a majority of the finish. Any hardcore polishing, we have done in California. We have a polishing room that we do our own brushing and touch up polishing and grinding and all that type of stuff, but we don't do any like heavy polishing.
Okay. So that's really the only thing that's outsourced. And you said that was in California. So what, are they getting blank material and sending it to you that you're using for your assembly process?
Yeah, all the forgings and all the rim shells all come from California.
Okay. What is, you discussed a little bit, having to shut that business down was kind of the worst experience you've ever had. But what about with the wheel side? Has there ever been, something that happened or, instance where you were like, man, like, I don't know if we're going to be able to come out of this specific situation?
Yeah, let's see, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I have a hard time keeping track of time. We built some wheels for a DP team. And they needed really, really wide inners. They needed 11.5-inch inner rim shell. These are 3-piece wheels.
Okay.
And that was a part that our rim manufacturer had not spun before, and so they made them like they normally would. And as they were mounting, we delivered them. We sent them straight to Watkins Glen. It's racing. You're getting stuff there. Next day before, yeah. Right. And as they were mounting the tires, they were inflating the tires. They had to put a lot of air in them. They got to get like 100 pounds in them to get the tires.
Yep, just to bead.
To seat. And the rims were actually deforming. They were actually crushing. It was actually crushing the rim because the rim was too long. It was too much of a span. Right. They called us and said, this is happening and that is happening, and we could not understand why. And we sent 2 people up there overnight and we rebuilt wheels with smaller inners overnight and drove them all night long to get them there the next day so they could make the race.
Yeah, so that's one you stick your neck out there and then it doesn't work out, and can be pretty tough.
Yep.
So what about, shifting gears, what about something that's got you fired up, that you're really excited about? Maybe some new products or some new partnerships that you got going?
Well, the 3 GT4 programs were the wheel on the GT4 Camaro, as well as the GT4 Ford Mustang GT350. And the Panos GT4. So we're homologated on those cars, and we're very, very excited about being part of all 3 of those programs.
And so that means that any of those racers are buying your wheels, correct?
Yes. If you buy one of those cars and want to race it anywhere in the world, it comes with Forgeline wheels, and you have to buy Forgeline wheels for it, correct?
Very cool. Very cool. So how does that, discussing kind of the business percentage side, is that kind of the bread and butter deal, or is that a small portion of what the total revenue of the
for a really long time, racing's been 50% of the business. 50. Street side's been 50, the racing. But for the past, I would say 7-8 years, we keep thinking that the street wheels will eventually take over because there's just a lot more street vehicles out there than there are race cars. But that's not the case. It still remains about 50-50, and I think a lot of it is due to some of these kind of programs. Ford has that what's that FP350S, which is a car that anybody can buy. It's a race car that anybody can buy. They're building 200 of the cars, so we got the wheel deal for that as well. So that's been a good deal for us as well. Yeah.
So then, how do you get deals like that? Is it just being in the industry and knowing the right people, or are you going out and I guess is your brother going out and actively making like aggressive sales pitches to these companies? Yeah,
we're at the racetrack all the time. We've been to all the IMSA races and World Challenges. We're there, talking to the teams. They've known us and got to know us over the past 20 years from just being there all the time. And we're happy to say that we're the only U.S. made race wheel that's being used in the U.S. in professional racing.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's a good point. That's something I haven't really thought about, but
everything else is coming from Europe.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like to hear kind of the business side, and it does kind of surprise me that the racing is still that big of a deal. Most companies, that's the small portion that they do for the proof. Like you look at a company like Recaro, they make a handful of seats for race. Every race car you see probably has a Recaro seat in it.
That's a very small part of their business.
But that pales in comparison to the amount of, Cadillacs that came with Recaro seats. Like, It's not even close. All of their race seats don't count up to just one vehicle that they make with the OE. So that was kind of surprising to hear that from you guys. But
we also include any motorsport application wheel, and also a lot of the growth is all these motorsport country clubs that, I don't know, 5-10 years ago they weren't really taking off, and now they're really, really taking off. So we do a lot of track cars, a lot of GT3 and GT4 Caymans and that kind of type of stuff for a lot of that business. We call that's the motorsport side of the business as well.
And so, giving you an opportunity to toot your own horn, why do you think that people are choosing your wheel over, another manufacturer?
One, because it's proven. I mean, we're at the racetrack. We're on professional race cars. We've been doing this for 20 years. We know what it takes to make a wheel last and hold up. And I think the proof is just they go to the racetrack and they see the wheels on those cars, and that's proof enough for them.
So that allows you to justify the price for those wheels.
Correct.
Very cool. Well, let's pause for a quick break here, and then we'll be right back.
We all know owning a shop is difficult, so we created My Shop Assist to help you manage the various jobs. Whether you run a machine shop, a performance tuning shop, build off-road trucks, or even do powder coating, My Shop Assist can help you. It is completely online and will help you schedule the jobs, log time on each task, track parts orders, and take pictures of the work. You can even export your jobs from My Shop Assist into QuickBooks as invoices. So if you're interested to improve operations at your shop, check out myshopassist.com to start your 30-day free trial.
Okay, so we're back with David of Forge Line Wheels, and can you kind of give us some details about the facility? So you're located in Dayton, Ohio, is that correct?
We're located in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay,
correct.
And then, tell us about the building and the facility and, how many people work there, just kind of the ins and outs of the actual running of the business.
Okay, we have 30 employees. We have a 30,000 square foot facility. We have obviously powder coating booths, lots of Haas CNC machines. All of our CNC machines are made in America as well.
We're supporting their F1 team, huh?
Yeah, right, exactly, exactly. And as we said, we have two owners, me and my brother.
And so, as the years have gone on, how has the business changed? It's obviously grown, but has it changed structurally of like focusing on different aspects of the business?
No, we're focusing on the growth. We're considerably growing every year, and just trying to keep up with the demand has been our main focus, especially the last 5 years. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, do you have a formal business plan for the wheel business now?
A very broad one.
So it's you're setting, I'm guessing you're setting sales targets.
Correct. Yeah.
Is that something that you're doing on a weekly basis, monthly, or quarterly?
Basically yearly basis.
Okay, so you're just hitting a yearly target and then shooting for that.
Well, yeah. It starts with the year, and then we break it down per month. Right.
So with the revenue breakdown, you said it's pretty much 50-50 between the motorsports and the racing and then the street wheels. And you keep anticipating that that's going to change, but those markets are both growing. Do you have like one wheel that just like does excellent, or is it kind of a pretty even mix?
Yeah, the GA1R, GS1R, which are essentially the same wheel. Open lug wheel is by far our most popular wheel. That's the wheel you see on the GT4 Camaros and Mustangs, and so we make that wheel for Porsches and Corvettes, and so people, it's an open. We I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but the whole center of it's opened up. We've removed all that material in the center, so it has a very distinctive look to it, and people really liked it on the race cars, and so then we had to design this cap because the wheel wasn't designed to ever have a cap, because it's a race wheel, but everybody wanted to put them on their street cars. So we kind of had to convolute this cap that goes on there in the middle inside that, because we didn't want to lose that open lug look. So it's just as popular on the street now as it is on the track.
That's cool. So do you have, with the ability to have everything be custom, are you getting like, do people call and they want something different? Are you making custom wheels like actual like to their
one-off, yeah,
like
one-off
wheels.
Yep, and we do some private label stuff as well.
Okay. And yeah, so one of the things I wanted to discuss with you, and we touched on it at PRI this year, was the really, I mean, your wheels are already very light, but the really lightweight wheels. So can you kind of explain where you guys are heading with using different materials for wheels?
Well, we do have a new aluminum, I guess you would call it matrix. It's still 6061 T6, but it's a proprietary blend of that aluminum that they changed some of the characteristics of it, and it's about 20% stronger and 20% stiffer than a normal 6061 T6. So that was implemented in the last year. And then we now have a new product with a carbon fiber that we use our forged aluminum centers, but the barrel is carbon fiber.
Yeah, and those are the ones that I keep seeing, and they blow me away how light they are.
Yeah. If you pick it up, we had a 20 by 12 inch wheel, I think, at the show, and it was 16 pounds.
And so what would like the normal 20 by 12 wheel be, just as a comparison to like an aluminum one that you guys have, the other 3-piece one?
Yeah, if you went with the same style, like really lightweight center, about 25, 26 pounds.
So it's like a 10-pound
It can be, yeah.
drop.
Yep.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Because I had, I've seen carbon, like full carbon wheels on, some racing stuff and some Formula SAE stuff, and like, I saw the Koenigsegg 1-to-1 in California last year, and it's like it comes with carbon wheels, and same thing with the Mustang GT 350R. I think you can buy.
It's an option. Right.
Yeah, it's an option to get the carbon wheels, and so you guys, and to me that always seemed like the manufacturing process has got to be absurd, but the making the barrel itself, that is much more advantageous, and it's a circle, so. That's just the piece that you guys make. So it's now a 2-piece. That's a 2-piece wheel.
Correct, and that gives us the problem with a 1-piece wheel, really, in the custom market is every single fitment, every single size, and every single fitment, a Mustang fitment, a Camaro fitment, a Corvette would have to have its own separate mold. Mm-hmm. So that gets really expensive and time consuming, and all that kind of stuff. Where when you're just doing the barrel and you're using the aluminum center, we can do the custom wheels just like we normally do now with the aluminum wheels.
Yeah, and so it's amazing that just opens up a lot of opportunities to have, I don't know, let's say like a dozen SKUs for the barrels for it, or even is it the same barrel, or do you still having to do a little bit different to where the bolts?
Yeah, we have the bolts made up just like our aluminum wheels do. But we have obviously you have separate SKUs for a 20 by 9 and a 20 by 10 and 20 by 11 barrels.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So then, are you pretty much able to offer any of the center options for that wheel?
We currently have 5. You could. Any of our centers would drop in there, but we have specific centers that we made for the carbon centers that the spokes go all the way out to the edge that kind of fit the wheel a little bit better.
Okay. Yeah, because the next iteration of this is really on the the fuel economy side of it. So you get. One of the big fears in the motorsports industry is the electric car stuff, because you're not going to have turbochargers or exhausts or intercoolers or fuel anything, but you'll always have the ability to make it lighter. And so, is that something that you guys foresaw, or was it just like, hey, we can make these light wheels? Oh, hey, these electric guys, we're going to want them. Were you guys preemptively attacking that market, or has it just kind of come along that way?
Well, even in the motorsport market, everybody's looking for lightweight wheels. Mm-hmm. So we're always looking for that way to get something lighter. And sure, the electric vehicle plays into that part as well. So I don't think we were really probably looking at it on the electric side of it. It just played into our hands.
And so, yeah, because the Tesla wheels, do you happen to know the weight of one of those?
Tesla wheels are incredibly heavy. They're super heavy.
And why, why is that? Why are they?
Because the car weighs 4,000 pounds. The car's really, really heavy. So they have to put relatively strong wheels on them, and they're cast wheels for the most part.
Yeah. So yeah, just that amazes me that they're going to leave something like that heavy, but they have durability regulation. Like, why are they doing it? Is it because they need them to last for 200,000 miles.
Right, exactly. The same reason most OE wheels are heavy.
Okay. Yep.
They're over-engineered to a certain degree.
And so you, as an aftermarket, you can come in and say, hey, we can make a wheel that's, what, a third the weight? Like.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
and then, are your customers going to be expecting it to make 200,000 miles? Like, what kind of trade-off are they making when they go with a wheel that's so light?
In my opinion, they're not making a trade-off at all. Our wheel would hold up just as well over time as the factory wheel will.
Yeah, so that's something that you can, all of the electric car owners or hypermilers or anybody concerned with that can really reduce the weight. So yeah, I'd be interested to see if you guys could do like an A/B test on fuel efficiency or electric efficiency, like range. For those cars. Is that something that you guys have ever done or considered?
We have a very good customer that we private label wheels for. So I can't tell them who they are, but they're very strong into the Tesla business, and they are doing that. They're doing that test for us currently.
Oh, that's cool. Yes, that's really cool. I can see it. I don't know what the number would be, but like a 5% increase to me doesn't seem too outrageous, depending on what kind of driving you're doing. If it's all highway, it's not going to make that big of a difference. But yeah, that's always been something that I've been curious about. I'd never seen anybody do actual data behind pound per rotating mass as it correlates to fuel efficiency. So
yeah, it definitely affects horsepower, and people have proved that on the dyno.
On the dyno,
no about it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's usually like it's such a small difference that I always wonder when people say, "Oh, I can feel it accelerates from a light faster." I'm like, I don't know if you can really feel that.
You can feel the way the shocks react with it though. That's
true. Yeah, a bunch less sprung mass.
Right. So you can definitely feel that. But yeah, can you really feel a couple horsepower? Probably not. I'm with you.
So man, that stuff is super cool. So I'm excited to see. I've never seen those wheels on a car. I've seen them on display, but I'll be looking for them on the Cars and Coffee stuff, and I'll be pushing every Tesla owner I find to buy some to try to reduce the weight down on those.
Thank you.
So for the business, for promoting the business, I hear you guys name a lot in kind of the stuff the circles that I'm in, but can you kind of explain your marketing activities and then, what you guys do to promote your products and your business?
We're very heavy into social media. I think we have 650,000 people on Facebook, followers on Facebook. Instagram, we do paid ads on both Instagram and Facebook, and we do Pinterest, and we do all kinds of social media outlets. And we do a lot of shows. We feel like being with the customer, meeting face to face, our wheels are so much more cool in person than they are on the internet. Mm-hmm. And so we try to get out to as many shows, as many races as we can, and be a part of the events. We sponsor events as well that we feel that we like to sponsor the kind of events that we like to go to.
Yeah.
And that we can potentially participate in. So we do a lot of that.
Yeah, because I've heard you guys are sponsors of even like motorsport podcasts
sure.
as well. Right. So that's kind of a and I wonder just reaching your demographic, are you able to track if the Instagram market is generating sales, or is that kind of a long play for brand recognition? Because your wheels they're very expensive, but it's some kid on with a Honda Civic and he's 16, he's not going to be buying Forgeline wheels. He's going to be buying you'd be amazed at the amount of questions and inquiries and stuff that we get that we answer on Facebook. Okay.
We have a lot of serious questions and a lot of serious customers that come directly from Facebook and Instagram.
Very cool. Yeah. So I'm just always curious to hear, what the strategy is. And it seems that it's a shotgun approach for you guys, just get out there everywhere to market the products and get them in people's faces. So do you know like what percentage of your revenue goes towards the marketing side?
About 5%.
Okay, so that's really not too bad.
No, it's not too bad.
I don't know what the industry standard is for like marketing budgets, but it's very expensive to market products. It always amazes me how expensive it is to do that. So
I totally agree. So we try to any way we can to lessen that. But yeah, magazine ads and all that kind of stuff have gotten so incredibly expensive.
And so are you guys? It's mostly the new media, not the antiquated media anymore? Or are you still?
We do some magazine ads, but not very many.
Yeah, because it's I always compare my dad for like marketing stuff. He still has magazine subscriptions and he reads them all the time. And whereas I'm like, I don't think I've even seen a magazine in 5 years. Shops just don't have them anymore.
No,
in their waiting
I agree
rooms.
Because
their customers just are on their phones anyway. So, with the events that you sponsor, how are you going about picking them? Because I think of like you go to events that you want to be at. So I'm assuming that's the good guys kind of stuff, the more domestic side. Are you doing anything like TX2K is coming up? That's a big like roll racing event with a lot of horsepower.
Right, and we typically try to partner up with our customers or distributors to be a part of those events. We have been to a couple of those events, but most of the time, especially when they're that far away, we try to partner up with a customer.
It's going to bring out some product and display it for you. Okay,
correct.
So, how many hours are you working a week at the business?
Probably if you include being at home answering emails, which I feel like I do all the time, probably 60 to 70.
So it's a pretty good amount of time. And then are you gone most weekends to events, or do you have other people that are doing a lot of that?
Yeah, I'm trying to switch over to that, but yeah, I personally am at shows when late spring starts almost every weekend.
Okay. So, do you are you trying? And so you're trying to kind of transition that away, correct?
Yeah, to a couple of salesmen.
So is this are you getting to the point where you're thinking about relinquishing some of the business power, or is this something that you foresee yourself doing for another 20 or 30 years?
I see myself doing it for at least another 10 to 15.
Yeah, so still a long-term play here with the business.
Yes.
What do you think is something that you do different at the business that has helped kind of make you successful?
I think I've learned to say no. You have to figure out, we have so many opportunities. We're given opportunities all the time at this point. And before you just say yes to them all, and you can't possibly get them all done. And I've figured out in the last probably 10 years or so is I've got to know when to say no, and you got to be okay with that to walk away from things and concentrate on things that you're good at.
Yeah, that's a very, very difficult trait to master.
It is. My brother struggles with it a lot
because you just want to help everybody, and you want to do everything, and it's like, we can make some money if we do this, but the opportunity cost may be you can't do something else that's much bigger.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and we see that a lot with the performance shops. You're so afraid to turn away money that you just take everything in, and then you end up like what we normally see is you end up working on a car that you may not be familiar with, and then it ends up eating up 10x more effort than you thought it was going to take, and then you make nothing on it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's a good point. Just learning to weigh your opportunities and then say, hey, like this is something that we probably shouldn't be doing, and check back with us next year.
Yep.
What about, what's something that you struggle with in the business operation, and how do you deal with it?
Definitely time. And I think everyone that owns a business probably struggles with time. Try to schedule as much things as I possibly can. The other thing, and I think most people would say the same thing, is struggle with employees. And the way I deal with that is I try to talk to the employees on a more personal level as much as I can. I try to understand where they're coming from, and I try to show them as much respect as possible as a person, not just an employee. And that seems to help a lot.
Do you do like employee appreciation stuff?
Oh yeah,
regularly at the shop.
Yeah, we go karting every year. We do we take them to races when like IMSA comes to Mid Ohio. We'll take the whole shop up there and rent out an area and do lunch and dinner and watch the races and have them bring their families and stuff. And then we do a very large Christmas party for all the employees and their family and their kids and everything.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, I like seeing stuff like that because that it always makes the employees feel special, and then it gives them the sense of pride with the business, and then in turn they will work better or harder for you.
Yeah, and then their families behind it as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So when you ask them to stay late, it's okay. So what's the 1 year plan for the business? Where do you see it by the end of this year?
We're trying to increase. We have a lot of orders coming in. We see struggling filling them. We're trying to increase wheel production by 25%.
And so with that, is it a cyclical thing, or is it's become just a constant growth?
For the past, it used to be cyclical. For the past 3-4 years, it's just constant now.
And so your bottleneck now is just machines.
Correct.
Because you can't make them any faster.
Yeah, we put some stuff into place the last 2 weeks. We changed some things, and now we're also stretching the day. We're having some of the guys are coming in at 6 in the morning, and some of the people are staying till 6 or 7 at night. So we've got kind of a split shift going.
Have you ever tried or considered doing a night shift for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and that's part of the 5-year plan. We'd like to increase business in the next 5 years by 50%. And we'd like to start a second and possible third shift.
Okay,
it's hard to find. It's hard to find those people though. They do not want to work second shift.
No. I did that. I did that in an engineering position for a little while, working I think I got in at like noon or 2, and then I left at 1 in the morning or something like that. And
right.
And the only reason I did it was the pay. It was like you have to pay the person so much more to do that.
Right.
But when you outweigh, if you're looking at you got to make a couple $1 million in machine purchases, or do you increase your labor?
And that's the problem. Over the past 5 years, we've been adding at least 1, sometimes 2 machines a year, and so we've been able to grow that way. Well, we're out of room and we're out of electricity.
Okay, yeah. So you had to don't have any more power into that building, huh?
Right, and so that's a solvable problem. It's costly, but we could solve that problem. But we would have to build onto this building at this point, or move, and moving doesn't sound interesting at all to me.
Another shift can double your production capability with the same amount of space. So, machine utilization is always something that I like to think about, and I did that as a research project for a summer job I did in college. Was a machine utilization deal, and just you got these assets sitting there not making you any money, and you just look at it and you're like, wow, we could double.
How do I keep these things running? Right?
How do I? Yeah, if they're not making chips, they're not making you money. So very cool. So you touched on it, the 5-year plan, but can you express that a little bit more of what you guys are, where you see the business, in 5 years from now?
I think we're going to continue to grow. I see the motorsport side of the business continue to grow, and I really think the carbon fiber forged side of the business is going to be very big for us.
What percentage is that right now?
The carbon wheel?
Yeah.
Oh, very 5% maybe.
Like less than 5. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just, and you don't. Do you have to do anything different with the business to bring that wheel in? To ramp that up. Like, are you guys making the barrels, or is that?
We are not making the barrels. We partner with somebody in Kansas City, Colin Snyder, with Emergent Rims, and it took him 10 years to develop that product.
Is that something that you guys have licensing for, or is that something that's going to be available for a lot of other people?
We are currently the only manufacturer that has it, but eventually it will be available to other people.
Okay, but you guys are way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
I've seen.
Yes, we are.
Very cool. So just kind of closing out here, tell us about, something really cool, like a game-changing product that you may have seen at SEMA or PRI this year.
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with motorsports. It kind of does, but it's on the marine side. Mm-hmm. So, if you see those, what they call it, center console fishing boats and stuff.
The offshore ones.
Yeah. Well, people are using them for fishing and all kinds of stuff. They're getting very popular. And they have those 3. They'll have those 3 Evinrude 300 horsepower motors on the back of them, sometimes 4, as many motors as they can possibly put back there. So, the highest horsepower motor I think they make is 300, and you only have so much room on the back of that boat, so you can only get a certain amount of horsepower. Well, Harrop, this company in Australia, who's also a distributor of ours, they designed a supercharger that bolts onto that car that fits underneath underneath the whatever you would call it. You can't tell that it's on there.
Okay.
And it bumps up those motors 150 horsepower.
So a 50% increase, huh?
Right. and they are selling more than they can possibly make.
That is cool. Yeah, I never really thought about that. You see them with so many engines, and they look pretty silly, but if you could do two what you did with 3,
right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What software programs are you using at the shop to, manage the workflow and manage your employees?
We use QuickBooks. We use Autodesk Product Lifecycle Management program, and obviously we use SolidWorks and Mastercam.
And so is that the second one that you mentioned, is that how you're tracking the process flow in the shop?
Correct, and then all the millions of different lathe turns and part numbers and inventory, that kind of stuff. Yep.
And then are you guys doing any machine utilization calculations, or is it just trying to pump out as much product as possible?
Yeah, I mean, we keep all that data. We know how many parts each machine's making and that type of stuff. But yeah, nothing on a grand scale there.
Okay. What about something on your phone? Are you like an app user? Is there anything that you find really convenient to use on your phone?
I use not on my phone, but I use a program called Trello, which is
Yep.
Yeah, have you ever used that? Okay.
Yeah, we use that's actually what we use to manage our project manager for the software company. So we use Trello to communicate back and forth different items, and so it's a web-based project management system to track. It's really, you just have different cards, as they call them, and you put them into different buckets, so you can move it along the process. So you guys are using that internally in the business.
Right, and for managing like the SEMA show and the PRI show and all that type of stuff, there's so many facets of all that type of stuff. It's a nice way to keep everything all in one file or whatever.
Yep, cool. And so what about your favorite like physical shop tool? If you were out in the shop working on cars or building stuff, what is your favorite one?
Probably a torque wrench.
Yeah,
I think people underestimate how important torquing bolts is, and I guess that we get that from lug nuts and torquing the wheels.
Yeah, because you guys sell, or do you make the lug nuts, like the titanium lug nuts in house?
No, we don't.
Okay, but I see the titanium bolts I see as an option that a lot of people are doing on the wheels to reduce weight, and they look cool.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
and they have to be precisely torqued, or the wheel doesn't want to stay together.
Yeah, that's important. And what about, like just your daily driver? What car are you driving to get to and from work during the week?
I actually drive a Denali diesel truck.
Oh, very nice. I love those trucks.
So I bought it to tow. We bought a 42-foot display trailer last year. So I bought the truck to tow the trailer, and I loved it so much I drive it every day now.
Yeah, they don't ride like trucks.
Oh my gosh,
anymore.
no,
They're
not at all.
Plush interiors.
It's like a Cadillac,
And so, we touched on this earlier, but where do you see, the future of automotive performance going, especially with you being in the motorsports involved so much with that?
Both, yeah, we touched on it. Both, they're all looking for something lighter, especially for the electric cars. And the wheels need to continue to get stronger. I mean, that's what differentiates us as well from other people as well. The tires are getting stickier, the cars are getting heavier, they're getting more horsepower, they're using more aero. So you continually need a stronger, especially for the track applications. You continually need to upgrade those wheels and make them stronger.
Do you have any motorsport like racers using those carbon wheels yet?
There are no sanctioning bodies out there that will allow a carbon fiber wheel.
Okay.
So no, we don't.
Is that something that like an HPDE or like a Weekend Warrior can use though?
They could. You have to watch the brake caliper clearance on the wheels though. Have you ever like most people that run an 18-inch wheel on a Corvette or a Porsche or something around that huge giant brakes, it's very tight on the outside diameter. Yeah, and you drag rubber and rocks, inside the caliper, and it scratches the barrel a little bit. And so on an aluminum wheel, that's no big deal. But on a carbon fiber wheel, that rock will actually dig in the barrel, and it'll just drag it all the way around the barrel.
Okay.
So it's not structurally, it doesn't hurt it structurally, really. I guess if you continue to do it over and over again, it would, but it really doesn't look very nice.
Immediately it's going to look awful.
Yeah. So
it's not going to have that mirror finish on it.
Yeah. So if we do a motorsport applications, which I'm sure we will eventually, we'll have to come up with some sort of ceramic coating to put there to which unfortunately won't look very nice, but it will serve its purpose.
It'll serve its purpose. Yeah.
Right.
Is there like a worry about the heat? Like the heat cycling from the brakes on the carbon barrel?
Not with our resins designed to withstand that with no issue.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that was something that, there's a ton of heat generated, and, if you ever put your hand on the inside of a wheel, it's...
Yeah, and the biggest concern is not when they're not what they're out running, is when they come back and park the car in the paddock.
It just sits.
Yeah, and sits. That's, yep.
Very cool, very cool. So, just to close out here, how do people connect with your company and find out more information about it?
Our website is very extensive. That's forgeline.com. It's easy. And our Facebook page is facebook.com/forgeline. Instagram's forgeline as well. Phone number is 800-886-0093.
Very cool. And so, and on your website, do you have dealer lists of where people can go, check out and buy your wheels?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time today. I know time management is one of the things you're struggling with, so I appreciate it. But it was really cool to kind of hear about the business and learn more about you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast.
Thanks for listening to Do It for a Living. You can find out more about this guest, this show, and even details about what we just talked about at our website. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/doitforaliving and tell us who you want to hear from. And most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Click subscribe. Do it now. Seriously. I'll wait while you grab your phone. Open up the podcast app. Tap the subscribe button. When you subscribe, you help us gain momentum and attract more high-level guests. Thanks for listening, and good luck.